Welcome to Inside Straight. I'm Larry Mazza, my wife Kelly. Say hello, Kelly.
Hello, Kelly.
We're doing this a day early. It's Tuesday. Normally we do it on Wednesday, but our tech guru from First Pillar, Brandon, is going on an anniversary cruise. So we obviously we didn't want to mess that up on him. So we're doing it a day early. I couldn't get to all the college games. I got a bunch of them. I also have a bunch of Wise Guy plays. And I have to state it once more. Keep going to the website. The company is very close to perfecting the alert, which every member will get. That's been the delay. We want to make sure that works to perfection. And we're very close. So go to the website. It costs less than it would cost you to buy a newspaper, for a month. To get this information that's very important and that alert. And you'll see by some of the games I give you today how important that alert is going to be. I got a few baseball games too that we went through this morning, and I got the NFL done because it is the first week, so it's going to be real exciting. But very important to go to www.insidestraight.com so you can join up and never miss a hot play. Last week, wasn't a dramatic week. I wasn't that great, and I certainly wasn't bad. There was. I'll run through a few of them. If you remember the Hawaii game against UCLA, I suggested even to bookmakers book the game. I mean, I think it's going to be one of those money makers for the house. Turned out to be it was 14-point underdog. I touted them to win the whole game. They lost by a field goal late, so they had very, very a good chance of winning that game. And unfortunately for me, I had two dogs in already in a round robin, and that would have been a nice click. So unfortunately, I hit 2 out of 3, so that was good. The other one was Notre Dame, who I said would beat Texas A&M, and Eastern Michigan was one of the dogs, but not the other one in my parlay was UNLV. The first two games, if you remember, Jacksonville State and North Carolina. Jacksonville State was horrible. I had to go back and evaluate that team because it was just ridiculous how bad they were. And the other one, North Carolina, was good because when I played the game, I took +3. My line had them favored. It adjusted, they became favored, and they won the game. It wasn't a blowout, but they won the game, and I wound up middling it too because when the line moved that far the other way, I had a free ride, 2 field goals. Either team wins by a field goal, I hit both, and that happened. The over in the Miami game against Florida State was highly touted. That one won. I'm not going to waste time going through all of them. You heard the games. Nebraska was a winner, UNLV a winner. Some of these were Wise Guy plays. Nevada, remember Nevada? They played them the first week, and before the game was over, they bet Nevada the second week. Nevada beat Troy State. The Wise Guys liked it, and so did I. And a lot of these games you'll be getting on the website. You'll get them. You'll get the analysis, and you'll also get that alert. I can't stress it enough. I'm sorry to keep saying it. It's very important. One of the things I had written down was Ohio State, ugly 63-3. I think they won 58-6. That was pretty close. So anyway, let's move on to this week because we do have the pros also. Okay. We'll start with the Troy-Memphis game. I rate the game as a very high-scoring game. So if you like to bet over, Memphis and Troy looks like they're going to be up and down the field, and it's going to be a high-scoring shootout. It's early, so a lot of these under-overs haven't come out yet. They're probably going to come out sometime today. So again, if you were on the site, I can tell you, well, it's a little too high. Maybe the odds maker comes out with a ridiculously high under-over, and then I say, okay, maybe not. But as it stands, it's a shootout to me. Also, the Wise Guys played Memphis. And if you remember last week, I talked about Troy. The public thinks they were good. They got a great defense, this and that. They're not the same Troy team. They lost last week to Nevada, which was one of our picks. And Memphis is a Wise Guy play. Not so much mine. because my line isn't as high as his. They have Memphis 17, but remember, I got to respect the wise guys. They laid the 17. My line is a little lower, around 14, but I love the over. Okay, let's go down a few games. The wise guys played Florida Atlantic -2.5. It only went up to 3, so I'm not too concerned with that one yet. And I happen to like Army. Again, you're going to see that a lot. I think Army will beat Florida Atlantic, but I have to weigh in the factor in the wise guys. And again, on the site, that can be updated. Texas against Michigan, the game 6.5. I've got them 6. So to me, there's no play. Wise guys laid the 6.5. It only went to 7. So that can be a buyback game where it's an important number. They can win by a touchdown and hit both ends. They laid the 6.5. Maybe they take 7.5 or 8. Here's a game I like. Nobody else played it. Cincinnati. The odds maker got a -1. This game to me is a 3 gold bar play. I've got the -17. Their running back and offensive line will not be stopped. Pittsburgh will have no answer for the running back or the offensive line. So that's going to keep their offense on the field. Pittsburgh, I don't see it. Bad numbers. And Cincinnati, to me, is a really good play. Iowa State and Iowa. And I'm skipping games because I couldn't do them all. I need another day or two. And again, down the road, we'll be doing 2 podcasts a week, especially when Brandon sets us up with our own studio at the house. That'll be, really big for the whole setup, the whole business. Okay, so Iowa State. The odds makers have Iowa -3. I got Iowa State -1. Not a real big deal, but it shows you value. That to me, and there's not a big home field advantage. Iowa State fans are going to be, from both teams, filling that stadium. And the wise guys took Iowa State. So that's both of us. I like them. Wise guys took them. I don't need to say any more. Go down to the Michigan State-Maryland game. It's another game you would have gotten alert because they played it. They took +10 with Maryland. I have the game 6.5 over Michigan State. So to me, that's also a decent play. I don't like it as much as the Iowa State game, but Michigan State +10, they took them. I have the game 6.5, so Michigan State's probably a good play too. Here's one that it looks to be a blowout. I had some games you'll see, like I said, I reevaluated Jacksonville State. I didn't do that after the FSU Georgia Tech game. FSU didn't look so good, but I thought they were going to be running through a hornet's nest against Georgia Tech in Ireland. It was, it's just one of those games. So I left them the same. And they wet the bed again against Boston College. So I reevaluated the Florida State team, and it brought back a memory about their quarterback. When he was with Clemson, he did the same thing to them. He came in after Trevor Lawrence left, and they were stuck in games 10-3, 7-6, 13-10. They couldn't score. The guy doesn't pass well, even though he's got a good arm. I don't think you can read the defenses. He doesn't even run well, and he's supposed to be a runner. So I had to really adjust them. I don't think I'll be picking Florida State too much anymore. So I didn't reevaluate Virginia Tech because it was the opening day in Vanderbilt, and I just don't think they were prepared. I left them the same. Wise guys laid 17. The game went up to 20. I've got Virginia Tech -38. So that is a standard play too. 3 gold bars. They pumped the line from 17 to 20. I have them even higher. I laid 17. I laid 18. If it's at 20, you may want to buy a half a point because 18 and 19, generally speaking, aren't hot numbers. The 20 could be. Just look at scores, 30-10, 40-20. It could be. But Virginia Tech is, and they're a power. I just was really shocked at the upset last week, but that's going to happen. Kansas is a play of mine. I took their quarterback, but I don't bet with my heart, and I didn't over-adjust for him. As a matter of fact, I underadjusted, knowing how much I like the quarterback. I come up with big offensive numbers for Kansas. Illinois, their quarterback is going to have trouble. Their receivers, so they're going to be forced to try to run one-dimensional. I got Kansas 23. No wise guys touched it, but it's my game. I think Kansas beats Illinois on the road. I'm going to lay 5.5. If I didn't already, I probably did already. This game I want to mention because it's peculiar and it'll help you handicap in the future. Nevada, they were a hot pick 2 weeks in a row. They beat Troy on the road. They played SMU real tough. Now, Georgia Southern is traveling across the whole country to play Nevada. Who do you think would be favored? I would have thought Nevada after the 2 good games they played. Georgia Southern is -2. I got to wait and see. My question is why? I have Nevada -1, which is surprising too. So they got to know something I don't know. That Georgia Southern game is a sleeper. It's probably going to burn some money because anybody that was watching Nevada got to think they're to play at home. So something's peculiar with that game. Colorado and Nebraska. Nebraska's -7.5. I've got a -13. Basically, Colorado, same thing. They're going to have to throw. They got the kid Sanders. I understand he's going to be a superstar. The receivers don't have that big of an edge. Nebraska is solid running. They'll be able to keep the Colorado on the sideline, I think, the offense. They have a real good offensive line rating also. And I just think being at home, 7.5, that half a point is big, but I got them 13. So I'm going to probably go with Nebraska. And I may get creative with a game like that, with teasers or buying points. Maybe it'll land on 7. But I'm leaning towards Nebraska for sure. Go down to Clemson. The wise guys played Clemson. You saw them get pummeled by Georgia in the second half. They played a tough first half. I think they got out coached in the second half when you make your adjustments, and they had no answer for Georgia. So they laid the 16.5. I got the game 17.5. To me, it's no play. But again, I got to let you know it's a wise guy play. You'd get the alert. You'd see the analysis right in front of you on the computer that states all of that. Boise is playing Oregon. This game, to me, is a little bit of a sneaky game, too. Oregon is well known to be a power. I don't doubt they will be in the playoff. I know they're going to be a power. They're going to be 11-1 probably, maybe 12-0. But they're playing Boise State. Boise State has a very good offense. And I just think that there's going to be a lot of points back and forth. So it's another over. And once you're in a game like that, it's hard to cover 18 points. You got to stop that team, and I just don't see it happening. I'm not predicting a win in Oregon for Boise, but I could see that game being 45-31, just by my numbers, because Boise's going to score and Oregon's going to score. So I've got Oregon 7. And again, I don't give as much home field advantage as some other people do. Certain teams get it, like Penn State, because that was one of the ones the college coaches did not like to go play in Penn State because the fans are literally on top of the field. The stadium is so close to the field, it gets loud, it's intimidating. That's one. Alabama's one. Obviously, we talked about Hawaii, how tough it is to go there and play. Oregon, especially coming from Boise, it's not. I didn't give them the full 3 points. Anyway, I think that's going to be a over game, and I don't think. And again, like if I sway you away from a game that winds up losing, that's like a winner. And I'll go back to UCLA. If people watched the show last week and they were thinking about playing UCLA, I might have talked them out of it. Even if they didn't listen to me and go with Hawaii. But if I talked them out of it, that's a win. and maybe I talk you out of laying 18 points with Oregon. We'll see what happens. This game, Texas Tech, 3 gold stars. Gold
3?
bars. Bars, not stars.
Bars.
Yes. The wise guys laid Texas Tech. I handicapped the game. Washington State, the odds maker have them -1. I've got Texas Tech -10. Wise guys played it. Plus, it's another game that's going to be a shootout. I believe this total is going to be in the 70s. I didn't get to see it yet. If our computer could come up, I could check on that. But it doesn't work for some reason. I think it's the studio room. So Texas Tech, wise guys, and myself, and I'm throwing in the over too. So that game is definitely one of the stronger ones, along with the other one where we both went with Virginia Tech. Okay, we're almost done with college again because I've got about half to do yet, and I'll do that today and tomorrow. And once again, when we're on twice a week, you won't need to get them all at once. And when you join, you'll be able to read everything I'm talking about to remind yourself of the important things. Liberty. I spoke about them early in the season. I said I think they'll run the table. The wise guys played them. They laid 20. The game is up to 22. Not that big of a move. I do have them about 21, so I think the line is right. Wise guys played Liberty, but I'm not going to call that one yet. I'm going to give them their respect. You'll know that they played it. That's important to know that. And it is, they're playing New Mexico State. It's in New Mexico State. The only thing I could think of is they're looking a little bit past it for their next opponent because it should be a mismatch. But the line, we both have the same. Wise guys played Liberty. Oregon State against San Diego State. This is a pick of my own. Oregon State is -4. I've got them -10. Again, just solid offensive numbers. I think they'll score a lot of points. And on the other side, San Diego really has no clear advantage. The receivers look like they're going to be held in check. The running back should be held in check. The quarterback's no superstar. I just think Oregon State wins that game, and it's only 4. This is a hot one. Arizona State. They were -4. It went up, probably around 6 now. I have a -14. It was a double bang by the wise guys. They laid the points and they laid the money line. The significance of that is wise guys typically like to take the money line, take the underdogs for value. So they just wanted to get as much as possible on that game. Maybe there's limits involved with certain places that take action, like MGM may only take 2,000 a game, 3,000 a game. So they laid the money and the points. Very, very important. So that's another three goal bar game. The last one I'm going to do right now is Utah State against USC. The line maker has them 27.5. I think they raised a little bit because they just beat LSU. I think it's going to be a tough cover. I got them around 20. I'm not really touting that one because it's not that much of a big difference. If I got 20, they got 27.5. I mean, I see bigger differences, the ones I stated to you already. And plus, they may be on a little bit of a downer after beating LSU. That's a big win for them to go into LSU and win. Now they're coming all the way back home, partying a little bit, happy to be home. Utah State, fairly talented team. No match really for USC, but I just don't know if I'd lay 27.5 on that one. So those are your college for now. Again, hopefully as soon as today, the website is up and running. You got to go check. And please join. You'll be getting a ton of information, plus the alerts that are just so important. And you'll get the rest of the games for this week. There's so many I couldn't get to. I wanted to get the NFL done. And the NFL is a tighter handicap. I think I mentioned that earlier in the season. The rating scale is not as wide. You don't have Akron playing Ohio State. The worst team in the NFL could beat the best team on any given Sunday. They've been saying that for years, and it's true. That's why it's very tough to beat the NFL. And they have rules in place to keep it competitive. that teams will never be bad for too long. Well, I shouldn't say that never, but they'll always have a chance to get that number one star out of college, and next year he's an impact player and they improve, and then their windows of opportunity change every 2-3 years. Certain teams last longer, like New England and Kansas City, but the common denominator, the quarterback. Okay, the first game, we'll run through them all quick. I'll tell you the games that we like and games that Wise Guys played. Baltimore, Kansas City. My numbers, believe it or not, show it's going to be a tighter game than I think the public. The public sees Mahomes and Lamar running around, scoring a lot of points. I'm shading toward the under. I don't know yet if I'm going to call that a play, but right now I'm shading to the under. Green Bay and Philly, I don't see how that game can stay under. To me, it's an over game. It's a high under over, 48.5. But when you break it down, both offenses, I got to believe, are going to be in the 20s. At least, based on the numbers. So, 24-21, you lose. One more score, you win. 27-24. I'm in that 28-24. 31-27. And the two young quarterbacks, both good receivers, everything solid on offense, and neither team has a great defense. Green Bay doesn't have a great defense. Philly doesn't have a great defense. They're going to have to outscore teams. I'm playing that game over. I have it in red. Miami's playing Jacksonville. Yes, Miami's -3.5. I have a -6. That's significant for the NFL. And even here, I see points. It seems like both teams will move the ball. Some of the edge, believe it or not, goes to the special teams of Miami. That boosted them up a little bit. So one big play or the field goal kicker, but special teams could come into play in that game, especially if that Tariq Hill is running back punts and kicks now. Don't forget there's a new rule, so there's going to be a lot more returns. And they got him and Kareem Hunt. Those two guys are phenomenal in special teams, and they get a big advantage there. Plus the home field, it won't matter that much because Jacksonville plays in the heat too. Okay, Pittsburgh, Atlanta. They bet Atlanta early on, the Wise Guys, but there's been no ripple effect. Nothing happened. I have Atlanta only -1 at home. The odds makers have them 2.5. I don't see anything in that game of value. I'm probably going to buy it back because I did follow the Wise Guys. Giants and Vikings. To me, this looks like an under game. Both quarterbacks are horrible. The running backs, Vikings have a little bit of an edge. Offensive lines, no edge. I mean, I just think it's going to be an ugly game. You're probably not even going to want to watch it, but I'm taking the under in that game. Hey, what did I say last week? I said Massachusetts shouldn't be favored over a high school team. They'll beat Eastern Michigan, who's no bargain. And that's a bold statement.
Yes.
I could have been embarrassed, like if Massachusetts would have played real well. But I wasn't. Eastern Michigan beat them. I just don't see this game being a fun game to watch. Carolina and New Orleans. New Orleans is 4.5. I've got them 5. The Wise Guys took New Orleans. I think it's going to be a tight under game, so I'm going to wait a little while. I mean, that's a lot of points for a tight under game. Even though they laid it, I think it could be a buyback. So, again, on the computer, you'll see that analysis day to day where if they double up or if I start seeing a trickle effect where some other outfits are taking the points, you want to know that stuff or don't gamble. If you don't know it, you'll have no shot. New England against Cincinnati, it's 8.5. I got Cincinnati 11.5. Probably, New England's best chance is their defense. They do have a good defense, but I don't think they're going to move the ball. I don't see them moving the ball at all. I think it's going to be very tough, and it could get ugly if Cincinnati pulls ahead because if New England's got to start throwing the ball and they can't play that tight running game and relying on their defense, it could get ugly. Joe Burrow, I think he's going to have a good season. And again, I got him 11.5. That's a field goal more than the odds maker. Tennessee, Chicago. Chicago's -4. I've got him -8. No Wise Guys touch the game. But I didn't play it yet, to be honest with you, because I could be falling into that trap of the new quarterback and some new receivers that are there. But again, you could get creative with a game like that, and we'll talk about that. Arizona, Buffalo. I like the dog. I like Arizona plus 6.5. I believe there'll be a lot of points in this game. Both quarterbacks are mobile, so they extend plays. They like to air it out. The one reason I don't have Buffalo covering is the receivers. They don't have an edge in receivers anymore, and they used to. Arizona has the edge against Buffalo's secondary. So I think there'll be points in that game. Also 48. So you're looking at that pivotal number again, 24-24. I think they'll be in the 20s. You know? So I like Arizona and under. Houston and Indianapolis. Houston is -2. I've got a -4.5. I think they'll probably win the game. That quarterback, Stroud, has an edge, even though the kid in Indianapolis, Richardson, is good against Houston's defense. Their defense came a long way. They got the receiver edge in Houston, -4.5. Again, the odd maker has a 2. I'm leaning to Houston. Vegas and the Chargers. Typically, history has that as a shootout, but with Jim Harbaugh, the new coach, he's going to focus on a run game like he always does. He's going to focus on defense like he always does, and usually gets the best out of his players. They've always been talented. We talked about it last week. I don't know that they're going to be, this first season, but they're going to be improved. They're going to be a different type of team. I think that's an under game. 42.5. Pretty low for the NFL. So now you're looking at 21-21, 21-17. That's what the numbers tell me. I don't see the winner being in the high 20s and the loser probably in the teens. Here's a good one, Washington and Tampa Bay. Wise guys took Tampa Bay -4. I got a -10. To me, that becomes 3 gold bar game, not stars.
Bars.
We're different, gold bars. So I like Tampa Bay. I think that's your moneymaker on Sunday, and the wise guys agree, or I agree with them, however you want to look at it. So Tampa is my 3 gold bar. That's all I could say. Denver, Seattle, they have 5.5. I got 5.5. It's another game. I'm not really interested in it. The total's 42. And it looks to be the line looks right all the way around. I see no edges. Dallas and Cleveland. Cleveland's -2. I've got a -2. So same thing. You can't force a play there just to do it. If you like it for some reason, you're flipping a coin. I don't see any edges, clear advantages either way. The Rams in Detroit. This should be a fun game. They seem to like to have those 2 quarterbacks play against each other because they flip-flop teams and they're both successful. Obviously, Stafford won a Super Bowl. He's still a top-tier quarterback. He has good ratings across the board with the running game. With the receivers, I talked about they got 3 receivers, tight ends. He's going to be able to throw the ball. This total's 51. So now, I think there's going to be points, but 51 now gets you to 27-24. Now you've got to be up there by the 30s. And I'm going to tell you something when I finish this up about under over betting. So I'm leaning toward Detroit. I've got a -5. They're at home. That dome is a tough place to play. They've got a chip on their shoulder from blowing that game last year. It's not going to be a 3 goal bar game, but I'm leaning to Detroit. I think that's going to be pretty much a shootout. But again, 51 is a lot. When you're betting on the over, always remember this. When you bet over, you start the game a loser. You sit there every time, move the ball, move the ball, move the ball. They fumble. Move the ball, they miss a field goal. Every mistake keeps you under. It has to be a well-played game What I'm saying about the offense and the receivers, everybody's got to gel to get to that point. And you may not be a winner until 40 minutes into the game, 45 minutes into the game. Think about that. You're going to sit there the whole game. So it's tough when you bet over, but there are circumstances you just have to, especially in college. So that game to me, I'm leaning toward the over, but they've got a 51, and I'm leaning toward Detroit. The Monday night game, San Fran against the Jets in San Fran. Line maker has it 5. I got it 6. That's not that high of a line, so the Jets are getting respect. Traveling across country, that's very important in your handicapping. It is the first game of the season, so they could get there in ample time. They could get there early. Probably won't be a complete disadvantage like during the season with all the travel. They just signed the receiver, Ayuk, that we talked about, so they're full steam ahead, San Fran. We don't know yet how good Aaron Rodgers is going to be, but for them to make that line 5, the team's been in the Super Bowl, 2 of the last 3 years or something, and they're not even a touchdown over the Jets, who've done nothing in 20 years. That's scary. I'm smelling them. Something's rotten in the state of Denmark. I smell a rat. Don't use that word on this show ever. But anyway, that's the pros. Baseball, we looked through this morning. We've been doing it, and it's a lot easier for you to get on the website and start to see this analysis. And some of this stuff is just you have to believe your eyes. The first game we came up with, Pittsburgh, the kid Skeens pitching. He's 8-2. He's definitely in could be a Cy Young winner. Probably not going to catch Sale, who's 15-3. He could be the rookie of the year. But the last 2 games, they took him out in the 5th or 6th inning with leads, substantial leads. And the bullpen blew it. Take him for the first half. He's not even an overlay. You're not laying 160, 170. It was about 140 or 135 when I looked. And I think there's value there. He's consistent. Teams aren't getting used to him. His stuff is incredible. Just take him for the first half so you don't have to rely on the bullpen. Tampa Bay, I looked up the pitching matchup. I had some other people looking at some statistics. The pitcher there, Springs for Tampa Bay, is a live dog against Minnesota. Minnesota's getting a lot of public support right now. The people like playing them for some reason, but I think Tampa Bay is a good bet. The one that's certainly not going to, the Yankees, the reason is not so much the Yankees. Their lineup is incredible. They have Rodon pitching, who's been keeping them in games. But what our analytics say is Texas is throwing it in. They're just not trying anymore. They have a good lineup, but they just seem to be going through the motions. And when you're playing a team like the Yankees, who are in a battle for the division with Baltimore, every win is important. Same for Baltimore. They're playing the White Sox, but I'm not going to lay 3-1. Yesterday they were 4-1. That's one of the highest lines I've ever seen in baseball. So those would be my 3 picks, or our 3 picks for baseball. And you got the NFL. Please go online. Any day, any minute, it's going to be up and running. Join. It's not an expensive website. It's, like I said, it'll cost you more to buy a newspaper every day. And you will get the Wise Guy plays immediately. So if you want to jump on the bandwagon, you play them. And then you're in the driver's seat. If the game goes up to 21, you can buy it back. If you laid 17, it goes to 21, 21 and a half, you got a free shot at the middle. So you need those moves fast. If you don't join, you're never going to get them fast. You'll get more baseball. The NFL, things are going to happen. I know these Wise Guys are going to come in and bang places with money line underdogs. I'm telling you right now, I won't be surprised if it's the Jets, because that to me is just not high enough. They're giving the Jets a lot of respect in that game. Tampa Bay, I said, but they're favored. Who was the other one where I smelled a possible? Oh, it's possible buyback on Carolina. And I told you the totals. Yeah, so those things will change from now till Sunday. Well, till Thursday. Thursday night we got a game. Friday night we got a game. Saturday, full slate of college. Sunday, and I got off email with the tech team, and they said hopefully by Tuesday they'll have it perfected for the alert, and you'll be able to join. I know the credit card we said was set up. It's ready.
Right. Tuesday today?
Today. Yes. When I spoke to them the other day, they said yes, for today. So that's that. Okay. Am I leaving anything out?
I don't think so.
Do we have our people texting?
We do.
Okay.
We do. Okay, you ready?
I am always ready. I was born ready.
Wow, that's a wide open statement. I'm just going to go directly
Okay.
to the questions on that.
Yes.
Okay, so we have Frank from Tampa. Do you like teasers or are they a sucker bet?
You know, it's funny. That brings back a memory. I watched a video on gambling many years ago. I read books on it by Scarney, who's the magician of odds. I've had great teachers out of New York, Brooklyn bookmakers. You know, I probably shouldn't mention them, so I won't. But I learned a lot, and one of them on the tape said, "I've got 3 words for teasers." And I thought he was going to say, "Don't bet them. Stay away from teasers." That's 4 words. 3 words. And he said, "I love teasers." Okay? But he says it has to be a 7-point favorite at home. The percentage of those teams winning, even if they don't cover the 7, but winning by at least, just winning, you get 7 points in a teaser. Okay, and I've been following it for years and years and years. If you stick to that, they have to be 7-point favorites at home and take the favorite, you'll be okay. Okay, I know a lot of houses that use them to edge. They'll maneuver the numbers, so maybe if the wise guys laid, that's why I said get creative. With Texas, they laid 6.5, 7. You can put them in a teaser with one of their other wise guy games. Maybe they win by 4. Wise guys lose, the house wins. So there is places for them. You tend to pay a lot of juice. You have to hit all the teams. So there's always the argument that they are a sucker bet. But I think there's a place for them. The other thing is a 10-point teaser. Those are the sucker bets. They lose too many times. And it always seems to be a team that is getting plus 10 that wins outright. So it's another thing I started watching, taking the money line on a plus 10 team, 3 of them. All you need is to win 1 to earn. So I don't think there's sucker bets if you're disciplined. You have to be disciplined. And remember that one, 7 points. Just like I said, with under-over, you start out the game a winner. And also, the odds maker knows the public likes to bet over. So they generally inflate it. It's a little bit higher than it really rates to be. So, yeah. I wouldn't be afraid of teasers. Favorites at home, 7-point favorites at home, you'll win them.
Okay.
2 team on that one, yes.
Okay, Pete from New Jersey. Do you invest / gamble in the stock market?
No, I can't say. I have. And, you know, during the pandemic, we did a little bit on our own, and we did okay. You know, one of them, just for an example, was Budweiser. With all the stadiums closed, all the bars and restaurants closed, their stock price came way, way down. Just like Carnival Cruise, they came way, way down. So when it was really, really low, we actually did this together, Kelly and I. We bought some stock in Budweiser. And I said, eventually the restaurants are going to open again. Eventually the stadiums are going to be full again and the sports bars are going to be full again. And guess what? The pandemic went away. They all opened up and the stock went up. So we got, you know, we were just dabbling in it.
Yeah, something to do.
Yeah, it's I tend to, I've learned to stay in your own lane. Do what you do best. And stocks, if you're not a stockbroker or you didn't go to school for that or you didn't study it for years and years and years and the tutelage from someone who's in the business, like I have a brother-in-law who knows stocks real well, you know, so he can do that. and called him right more often than wrong. But he can't figure out sports. So stay in your own lane.
Okay, so we have Donna from Ohio. I read your book, fantastic.
Thank you.
And I follow you on YouTube, but I think you said some racist things in the book. Why?
Well, that a little catches me a little off guard because, wow. Well, first let me say, if anybody was offended by anything, I'm sorry. But anybody that knows me knows I'm not a racist. I've dated girls of color. I've dated Latin girls. Chinese girls.
Really?
I played ball with every race, creed, and color. Even in prison, at times, my fellow Italians would get mad at me for playing basketball because it was mostly black guys playing basketball. But I ignored them and I played ball with my black friends. I didn't care. So I'm a little surprised at that. Being in prison. Well, let me take a step back. You got to remember too, this book is a timepiece. It's not 2024. 2024, baby, the world has changed. There's more acceptance of everything. People are, generally recognizing that, not to be racist or it's very hard to answer this question because I know I'm not. But being in prison, the system breeds racism. If you come in black, that's who you congregate with. If you come in Italian, that's who you congregate with. If you come in Latino, Mexican, Haitian, that's who you stay with. And everybody's sort of in their own little groups. And if you look at some of the old movies from the 70s and 80s, they use bad words. The Godfather. Didn't they call Tom Hagen my proud Mick friend?
Yes.
That's not nice, And when I went, when I got to prison, I was in a place where there was 5 white guys, and we were outnumbered by all kinds of races. And they told me, and this is in the book, and maybe you should read that part. And this big black guy came walking up the steps, and they told me this was going to happen. And he says, "Where's the guinea?" That's racist for an Italian. And I tell you what happened in the book because I was younger, I was in shape, I was still a good martial artist. He got kicked back down the steps. And from that moment on, nobody called me a guinea anymore or tried to test me. I got respect. And it's also a very real book. I don't pull any punches, okay? And there might have been things that I wrote because of the culture clash I was in. You're not used to loud rap music at 3 o'clock in the morning when you grew up like I did, listening to Frank Sinatra. So if I did, it's because of prison, and I wanted you to get the true feel of what it is to be in prison. It's not joyous like 2024.
Okay.
But I apologize if you took it the wrong way.
Okay. Tracy from Pensacola. What is wrong with FSU? Shall you count the ways?
Wow, we just went from that. Oh, well, no. I don't want to. The quarterback's black, so don't take this as a racial thing. Well, I think the quarterback's a problem. I said it. He's just having trouble reading defenses. And when he runs into his own people. I mean, they're hapless. And you got to put some of the blame on the coach, too. He's a new coach. He's respected, Norval or Norval. I think it's Norval. But he's obviously, he's got some talent there, but I think it's a combination of him, the quarterback, and maybe too high expectations.
Okay. We have Mike from Adventura. Great stuff. When will you start with the horses?
Oh, well, I do the horses on the weekends. I said that, basically Saturday, maybe Friday, but Saturday and Sunday, those are your best race days. So they will be coming out. Again, there'll be a section on the site, and it's going to be worth looking at because I'll mention golf too. Last week, Wise Guys bet matchups, and I believe they won 7 out of 10. People ignore golf, but that also is something good. But the horses will be up, and you could look on weekends, and we're going to have Jamal's Gems too. He's very good with the flats. I told you we're going to have some jockeys coming on and some insight from them once my studio's up and running. So
no pressure, Brandon. No pressure there.
But we are. The horses are coming. Thanks for reminding me about that.
Okay. How was it being in The Irishman? Any future Hollywood stuff? You're a natural.
That's got to be somebody that likes me.
Craig from California.
Really? Okay. Well, The Irishman was obviously an incredible honor to be in. I was De Niro's consultant, and he was really he was good. He was humble. He enjoyed talking and listening to me. Got me that part as a hitman, which was, I guess, fitting to some extent. It was definitely an experience.
Yes.
I think, Kelly got to look through the screen, Scorsese's screen, while I was doing my hit on Albert Anastasia. I did have other things. I've done a ton of documentaries. There's possibly one in the works again that can come out very soon. I did The Perfect Murder, where I played a corrupt cop. That was a good one. So to answer, I think there's more in the future. Joe Paletto and Terry Winter diligently working on getting this to be a TV series. And Terry wants me to play my father. He just thinks that would be something the public would like. And I agree. I think my father or my Uncle Albert, I wouldn't really have to act. I know them well. So, we'll see. I think it's going to come. It's just a matter of when.
That's all the questions I have today.
That's it?
That's it for today. When we're in the studio, we will have more questions that are coming in live.
Yeah. That'll be good too. So,
or I can accept more coming in live, I should say it that way.
And I have a new closing today.
Uh-oh.
Join Inside Straight and get straightened out for sports. Be a winner. Thank you. We'll see you next week.
Goodbye, everyone.